Hey guys, what's going on? This is Ryan and welcome back to the channel. On today's video, we're going to be getting rid of the stock key with this golf cart here and going to a wireless key. This modification costs around $25 or under. Be sure to stay tuned. So what we have is the heavy duty remote control. We're going to use this as a wireless and a keyless switch for the golf cart. Let's open it up and check it out. First thing we come to is the wireless control switch. Tells you a little bit about it and how to hook it up and everything there, which is pretty simple. We're going to go over everything in this video. Both of these keys, the buttons on them just says on and off. The buttons feel pretty good. It's kind of like a rubber button. It's not a plastic button. So the brain of it is very small as well. The back of it has an antenna there. On the front, you just have 4 connections, all Phillips head. You got DC input on the left, DC output on the right. Here, one's an LED here, and one's a button. This is for learning the remote controls. And as you can see, it's very tiny. So it doesn't need to be very big since it's only going to perform one function, and it's going to turn the golf cart in the on position or the off position. Now this right here will work with 12 volts, 24 volts, 36, 48, 60, and 72 volts. So this is a battery from bigbattery.com. This is a lithium ion battery. We're going to be putting this into the golf cart here very soon. I want to go ahead and use this demonstration as well. Up here at the top it says 52.6 volts. I know it's hard to see there. Cut this light off. It's probably easier to see now. It says 52.6 volts here. Now I have it turned on, and I have my digital multimeter hooked up to the wireless switch here. And once we turn the wireless switch to the on position, we're going to have voltage readout here. Here we got 52.3. We have 52.3 here as well. So this just goes to show that this little box does not make and break contact. It just supplies the same amount of voltage that you give it, anywhere between 12 and 72 volts. So this is the Reliance digital charge meter. We're going to be using this for 2 purposes. Number 1, this is going to give us a battery charge meter for the golf cart. Number 2 is going to be powered on only when the golf cart's on and powered off when the golf cart is off. If you're looking for this right here, Reliance digital charge meter, I'll be sure to link this and other things in the description below where you can easily find them. So we have the gauge here on the bench. I have the power and the ground wire here. The ground wire is going to go to the ground of the gauge. The power wire is going to the power of the gauge as well. Now on this gauge it has 2 different powers. One is going to be constant, one is going to be ignition. Where at the screen is going to be the ignition power of this gauge. Once we apply power to it, the gauge cuts on, as you can see. Once it cuts off, power is removed from the gauge. Now this is going to be very helpful in this golf cart build here. Once the golf cart is in the on position, the gauge will be on. Once the golf cart is off, the gauge will be off. This is not going to have any kind of bright LEDs blaring in your face. During the daytime you'll be able to see it, and at nighttime you'll be able to see it as well. Alright, so in order to install this in the golf cart, the first thing we need to do is to access the back of the key panel. It doesn't matter if you have a club car, E-Z-GO, Yamaha, or any other maker or model golf cart. Basically, on this club car DS here, first we need to remove these covers, loosen the hardware out, and slide the front dash off of the golf cart. There's one. There's 2. Now these are bolt covers and they're easy to get lost, but if you have these on your golf cart, make sure to recover both of them. Next thing we need to do is to remove the hardware. This has 2 Phillips head screws. We need to go ahead and remove those as well. Once you have the screws removed, next we're going to go ahead and slide out this factory dash. So we pulled the dash out just enough to access the back of the switch here. Now with the key on the off position and pulled out of the golf cart, next we need to find out which has got the input power and which is the output power from the switch. Now in order to do that, I've got a voltmeter here. I've got it set the DC at 200 volts. If we set it to 20 volts, this being a 48 volt golf cart, it's not going to read it. so we need to go to at least 200 here. What we're gonna do is put the black on the pack ground and the red on these terminals here to see which one has power on it with the key switch off. That's gonna know our input power, and the other one will be our output power. We have 48 volts when we touch the green input wire, and 0 volts when we touch the blue output wire. Now that we know the input is going to be this green wire, and this orange is going to the battery meter to let us know low voltage, I'm going to cut this orange wire here. We're not going to use it. I'm going to use this green wire. I'm going to use this blue wire as well. So the next step, we need to go ahead and strip these ends back on these wires here and add the terminals to it. Now that we have both wires with the terminals connected, know that green is input, blue is output. Now on the control box here, I attached the ground wires together. I used ring terminals to attach both of them together, and I have enough wire here that I'll run back to the main negative of the battery pack. So in order to finish this install, we need to connect the green wire to the input power, and we need to connect the blue wire to the output power. And as you can see, I have all 4 wires connected. I went ahead and put the cover back in place. And on the back side, I took some Velcro. I put the Velcro on the back side of the unit. Now I'm going to mount my unit on the back panel down here. After that, we need to run this ground wire to the main negative of the battery pack. That's what it looks like mounted on this dash here. So we ran the ground wire here, and this is the main negative of the battery pack here. I need to put a ring terminal on it. The only ring terminal I had is this yellow one. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this yellow cover off. I'm gonna slide some black heat shrink onto this cable here. Now once we crimp the ring terminal onto the wire here, we'll place the heat shrink on it, heat shrink it up. Just in future reference, if we ever go to disconnect that cable for any reason, we'll know it's a ground. When you're placing ground wires on batteries like this right here, make sure the ground wire for the golf cart goes on first, and all the accessory ground wires go on second. Now I went ahead and unclipped this battery meter here. This was like a low voltage meter. They go bad in a lot of these older club car golf carts and other golf carts as well. It's got just 2 wires on it. So on this Reliance digital charge meter instructions, it's got an actual size. I went ahead and cut that out with a razor blade. I'm going to place this up against this hole, take a Sharpie marker, cut me out a section so we can fit this new digital charge meter in this same exact place right here. So I went ahead and mounted the battery meter in this location there. Went ahead and mounted it with the back piece as well. I got a black wire, a yellow, and an orange. The black is going to be ground. I'm making the yellow wire constant 48. And I'm making the orange wire ignition 48. So the ignition wire will connect to the key side of the switch. The yellow will connect to the battery side of the switch. The black wire will connect to the ground. Okay guys, since the installation is now complete, you can see the battery meter is off. There's no key in the switch here. The accelerator pedal, if we push it, we're not going anywhere. Once we turn the ignition switch on with the wireless remote, the battery meter will turn on. We can hit the accelerator pedal. We can start moving. Put it in reverse. Moving as well. Once we hit the off switch here, the battery meter cuts off. The golf cart's now off. We hit the gas pedal. We're not going anywhere. Installation is complete.